And now we want to take a look at an event that is coming up in one of our hometowns. It's called the Elder Justice Alliance Day, and it's the first ever event of its kind to connect local seniors with critical resources. Now, our very own Natalie Fonts has this story for us and what we can expect from this brand new event.
Often can feel isolated and disconnected, and when a concern about their finances or safety comes up, many don't know where to turn. That's why making sure seniors and their families can get answers, guidance, and peace of mind is so critical. Today, we look at the importance of the upcoming Elder Justice Alliance Day.
Robbie Boyd is the director of elder rights at the local Office on Aging. He helps seniors navigate some complicated situations, everything from Medicare fraud to financial exploitation. His job, connecting seniors to those organizations that can help. And in that work, he realized there's a real need in our hometowns.
But we've never really had a day to where seniors can come, schedule an appointment, and talk to a lawyer, talk to the Roanoke County Police Department, Roanoke City Sheriff's Department, Roanoke City Fire Department, APS on most of the counties that we serve, the banking institutions. We even have Senator Tim Kaine's office coming, that they can answer real questions, because there are seniors that pick up the phone and they're put on hold for a while, or they don't have a phone number that connects them to those people. They're worried, how long do they have a case for?
So the Elder Justice Alliance Day was created. It's a way, Boyd says, for seniors to meet one-on-one with experts who can help them address some of these important concerns. Concerns like where to turn for help if they feel their finances are being exploited.
It's a shame to have a conversation, but when a senior feels like their finances have to be regulated by the POA and it's not, understanding the guardianship difference, that they have the right to make financial decisions, and that some of them are held hostage with their finances. Their checkbooks are held hostage. They're told what they can and cannot spend. So connecting them to the financial part of that, that's one thing that we see.
Another major concern with seniors, scams. Boyd says many seniors have questions surrounding confusing emails, texts, and bills from Medicare and Medicaid.
Not understanding why they have a bill and somebody has used their Medicare card, they've used their Medicaid card, and reporting that fraud, reporting that suspicion, unlocking the idea that they can look at their own account and find out what activity has been taking place. So Medicare is a real issue.
Having someone to talk to explain their situation and what they can do to get help offers the supportive environment seniors need to make informed decisions.
There are several agencies that seniors can meet during the Elder Justice Alliance Day. It's coming up Wednesday, April 22nd from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Valley View Mall. Seniors are encouraged to make an appointment. We posted all the details over on our website. In the studio, I'm Natalie Fonts.
And Natalie's Aging Untold special, where she takes a look at even more local resources for seniors, is exclusively on WDBJ7 Plus. We also have an Aging Untold talk show that airs here on WDBJ7 Plus every weekday at 12:30. And so definitely want to check that out. Super informative stuff there. And well, the spring weather is here and it's the perfect time to go out and fish. But if you're fishing on Smith Mountain Lake, there are some things you need to be aware of, and WDBJ7's Austin Hicks is here to give us the latest information on that.
And we just feel that this grass carp situation is just too aggressive going forward.
An aquatic weed called hydrilla has been a regular issue at Smith Mountain Lake for decades. Back in 2013, the Tri-County Lakes Administrative Commission added grass-eating carp to the lake. Fishermen didn't like it then, and they don't like it now.
The economic impact's going to be pretty bad if we lose our vegetation. Restaurants, motels, marinas, tackle shops, fishing guides, all these businesses are going to be affected.
Dwayne Lamb owns Indian Point Marina. He told us the carp don't just eat the hydrilla. His customers fish for bass that hide in other vegetation, and the carp eat those plants too. Without the carp, those bass were getting bigger.
We've seen our local tournaments, some of the big fish that's been in the tournaments back years ago, when we had no grass, was 5 pounds. Now we're seeing sizes up to 10-pound bass, and that's in part due to the vegetation that they've got to hide in.
The carp that were dropped a decade ago are now starting to die out. Now the commission is considering putting more into the lake to continue fighting the hydrilla. Land thinks that would do more harm than good.
There's concern coming in, and we just don't want to go down that path again. We've lived through this since 2013, and we're just now getting things back to normal, and we really don't want to see no change.
Dakota Syrie has been in other areas where carp have been dropped to address similar issues. He says the impact may not be felt as quickly as people believe.
I believe they dropped 700 grass carp, which right now, how large the lake is, may not be a very large effect here in the next coming years, but just as any type of carp, especially the common carp, they're going to populate extremely fast, and they will be eating a lot of the coverage for these smaller fish.
The commission wants to do a study to find out how many carp are needed to address the hydrilla without impacting native vegetation in the lake. At Smith Mountain Lake, Austin Hicks, WDBJ 7.
All right, very interesting stuff there, and looks like it's going to be an absolute beautiful week to get out on the lake, possibly. So we want to check in with our chief meteorologist, Justin Pavik. That's coming up right here after the break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to WDBJ 7 Plus. Thanks for staying with us here. We're now joined by our chief meteorologist, Justin Pavik. Justin, how are you doing today?
Hey, pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I am excited for Friday. We're almost there.
Yeah, close.
Yes, and it's going to start to warm up for us. But I understand, there's been a lot of talk about how dry it is outside too, and we could probably really use some rain.
We could use a lot of rain. You know, we're down here for the month, down for the year, down for the last 6 months. And the new drought monitor issued this morning really tells the story of increasingly concerning drought conditions all throughout our hometowns. In fact, look at this. We've got moderate drought now, severe drought, covering roughly about 2/3 of the viewing areas. That's the most we've seen here in quite some time. You have to go back a few summers ago. If you think back to the very hot conditions that we had, where temperatures are well into the 90s and many days throughout the summertime months, that kind of fed off those drought and dry conditions. So unless we start to turn the corner here over the next couple of weeks, we could be headed down that similar road here as well. So here's what we're down in terms of the numbers again over the last, let's say, 2.5, 3 or so months here. Actually, this is going to take us all the way back to the beginning of the year. Down around 2 to 3, close to 3.5 inches. But if you were to go back, say, to September of last year, you could more than double those numbers, almost triple some of the numbers. So we're down a solid 7 to 9 inches. That's a lot of rain. Of course, you don't want that all at once. Now, rainfall numbers way down. You know what's back up? The temperatures eventually, right, but the pollen is going to stay up really for the foreseeable future. No rain in the forecast means that level is going to stay extremely high going right into next week. So here's a couple of the headlines we're following. Today's kind of the turning point, that transition day. Temperatures this morning, I know we're still chilly, but we're warming up to seasonable levels this afternoon. And then after this afternoon, it's all about the 80s and, yeah, even some 90s coming into the picture, I think, now as we go into next week. So let's venture out and about in your hometown here on this Thursday. Almost afternoon, mostly sunny skies, some high cloudiness working its way in there toward the New River Valley and also toward the Allegheny Highlands, so kind of like a milky sunshine, a little bit of a haziness there to the sky, but there's definitely no humidity. Here's how we started off this morning. It was a cold start. Look at that in Martinsville, down to 27 degrees. They really bottomed out. Most spots in the low to mid-30s, had some patchy frost, especially there toward the south side. Now, since then, Martinsville, you're all the way up to 49, so we're kind of on the brink of 50 degrees. Again, warmer conditions back west of the mountains, back towards, say, Charleston, West Virginia. They saw the warmth yesterday. Some of that starts to spill east as we go toward this afternoon. And we climb up to 67 around Road Oak, 58 degrees in Hot Springs. That's the cool spot. Up to 70 there in Marion. And like I said, from a historical average standpoint, this is where you should be for this time of the year. Again, some great activities going on this evening. I believe the Salem Ridgejacks are back at home. The Hill City Howlers also back at home, so you can check out the action right around the 6:30 hour. I just take along the jacket, the long sleeve, late tonight, either side of that 40-degree mark. And then tomorrow, speaking of baseball here, still the pick of the week, still looking at that hometown home run forecast. Highs ranging from upper 70s to low 80s. Wall-to-wall sunshine, light breeze, low humidity. Here's how the weekend's shaping up, and I'll tell you what, we could actually go for a double or triple header here with that hometown home run theme. Weather conditions looking excellent both days, starting things out in the 50s, ending up in the 80s. Got a couple events coming up here this weekend on Saturday out in Fincastle. This is the Mighty Eagle Mud Run. That's going on at Camp Eagle, and conditions here into the upper 50s to low to mid 60s. I believe the race starts right around the 9 o'clock hour. Looking great for that. Or if you're headed out to the Tulip Festival, either Saturday or Sunday, conditions looking excellent. All right, let's work our way down the road here into next week. We're going to talk about some toasty temperatures, some record heat coming in Tuesday, and then likely into Wednesday as well. We're teetering with that 90-degree mark, which we typically do not see until late May. So make sure you're finding ways to stay cool. And in the meantime here, let's see those weather pictures. Send them on in. You can go to WDBJ7.com. There's going to be a banner at the top part of the screen that says submit viewer video or photo, and you can go in there and again upload your picture, again to fill out a little bit of information. You can also do it through the app. Love to see them. We'd love to showcase them during our shows and then right here on the stream show as well. Here's that First Alert Super 7-day forecast, and like I said, temperatures off to the races here starting up Friday and then going right into next week. Look at that, 89 Tuesday, 91 Wednesday. Overnight lows warming up into the 60s, and I think I am hearing some sounds a joy over there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
A
brings
fan?
a smile to my face every time seeing the 80s and 90s. I'm such a summer lover, and so that's going to certainly feel like summer.
It's going to feel like summer, you know?
yeah.
So pool's opening up. Humidity's not going to be high, so
okay.
it's not going to be oppressive outside, but
Right.
definitely warming back up. So
Yeah, that's the nice thing about spring is you don't really have to worry so much about feeling so sticky.
Oh,
and
right, yeah.
Humid.
It drains you.
Yeah, yes. And so it's great for, you can get your plants back outside. You probably brought them in with
Yeah,
how
last
cold it's
couple
been.
nights.
So, yes, and we can get outside too. So, I'm
Exactly.
excited about that. All right, thank
right.
you so much, Justin.
Definitely.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, we're going to take a look at how a local organization in one of our hometowns is really helping to prevent child abuse and helping children have a voice they are spreading awareness because it is Child Abuse Prevention Month. So don't go anywhere. We'll have that for you coming up after this. Welcome back to WDBJ 7 Plus. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm now joined by Carrie Walker, who is the Executive Director for Focus on Youth CASA for the Martinsville, Henry County, and Patrick County areas. Carrie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having us to help spread the word about Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, as we know, this month, April, is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and tomorrow on Friday is Wear Blue Day. So, Carrie, for those who don't know, just talk a little bit about Focus on Youth CASA and what y'all do to protect children.
Sure. Simply put, CASA is an organization. We stand up for children that have been abused and neglected, and it's done by everyday people who are trained and sworn in by our local judges, and we just simply advocate for these kids that have been abused and neglected, and we just want to make sure that every child that needs us, that their voice gets heard by the appropriate people.
Right, absolutely. It's such important and life-changing work that y'all do. Talk about the need that you see as well, in our local communities for someone to represent and be a voice for these kids.
Yeah, we are very fortunate here. We have some really, really great advocates. We always need more advocates. Over the last couple of years, the number of kids that we serve has increased by about 250%. So the need is growing, and we are not quite keeping pace with that need. So we still have more children to serve, and simply we would just like for everybody in our community to play a role. We need some more community volunteers.
Right, absolutely. And, if someone does want to volunteer or get involved, how can they go about doing that?
Sure, you just have to be 21 years old, and you just have to have a driver's license. No educational degrees or anything like that. We do all the training. And you just have to have a heart for children. And you can reach our office at 276-403-5691, or you can look at our website, which is www.foycasamhc.org. And there's a place on there, a tab that you can click on to get more information, or if you want to fill out a volunteer application.
Right, absolutely. And, you mentioned you've seen a very large increase in the number of children that do need representatives in court. Why do you think you're seeing such a growing increase in that?
Well, our community, as well as other communities around the state, we see an increase in drugs, and parents just not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that trickles down and hurts the children. And with the kids being in school right now, things are getting reported by the school teachers, which during the summertime and off seasons, there aren't as many reports that are made. But that's something else that people can do. If you see something that you don't think looks right, say something to the appropriate people. So, because all of us together can help prevent this. And if it's caught quick enough, hopefully we can get the parents the services that they need.
Yes, that is so true. And talk about the difference and the impact a CASA worker can make for these kids.
Yeah, a CASA worker is the one constant that the child has from the time that they're assigned to our agency until the court case actually closes. And some of our advocates have built lifelong friendships with the kids that they serve. It just gives them somebody that in a time when everything is confusing, it gives them one stable person, and that can help them start to rebuild their trust in adults.
Yes, absolutely. That is so true. And also, you mentioned that y'all are doing an initiative with pinwheels. If people start to see these pinwheels blowing in the wind around, outside in the community, talk about what that signifies and what that means.
Sure. We do the blue pinwheels, and they're done all over the state. So you're going to see them in all different localities. And it's just simply to bring awareness to child abuse prevention. There'll be signs up and everything, and we actually have a place here in Martinsville where we do an annual pinwheel garden, and it's at a major intersection in town that receives a lot of traffic. So as people go through there, it just kind of reminds them to be on the lookout for, and hopefully encourages some people to get involved with our organization.
Right. Yes. I mean, it is so important because I feel like almost every day in the news, every week, you see stories involving children, in terrible situations. And so just bringing this awareness and spreading this message is so important. Was there anything else you wanted to add or touch on, regarding CASA, or anything that, you want to see done this month?
Sure. Of course, tomorrow, on Friday, I mean, we're encouraging everyone to wear blue. I think the office here will be donning our blue clothes. And then the other thing I just want to mention is everybody can make a difference. You don't have, there are different levels of involvement, and everybody can make a difference because together we can be the voice for a kid who needs a voice. So, and that will simply change the course of their lives. So I just encourage everybody to get involved.
Yes, absolutely. And again, just if you do want to get involved, you can visit their Facebook page, which I'm going to put a picture up of here now, and also their website for CASA and the Martinsville, Henry County, Patrick County area, but also there are CASA organizations all across the state that really just give a voice to these kids in need. And so, Carrie, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this and spread a little bit of awareness.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, of course. All right, y'all, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more WDBJ 7 Plus right after this. Well, thank you so much for staying with us here on WDBJ 7 Plus. Hopefully you enjoyed the show so far. I know we had some technical difficulties at the beginning, but this is a very new show to us, and we're still working every day to perfect it and just get better and better. But yeah, we want to also talk about our fundraiser yesterday that we talked about here on the show and give you a little update on it. We actually ended up collecting hundreds of snacks over the day yesterday. As you know, we teamed up with Freedom First Credit Union for this donation drive. As you can see there, we had tons of snacks and items and, you know, everything that the Boys and Girls Club could possibly need. This is going to help them for their summer camps that they have coming up this year. And so I'm so glad we could partner up and make this happen for them. And so the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southwest Virginia actually loaded up their van and will use these donations to serve a about 450 children. So if you were able to help out in that in any way, we appreciate it so much. We could not have done this without the support of the community. So thank you if you were able to participate in that. And we are going to continue year round to try to give back to the community as well. So that is all we have for our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to stay a little while for our noon newscast coming up here in just a few minutes. We'll also run our talk show on Aging Untold at 12:30, and then the weather show will be here at 2 o'clock to do more of an in-depth look at your First Alert hometown weather forecast and give you some fun facts as well, and just, go more in depth about that. And then at 6:30 tonight, as always, we've got our hometown sports huddle where the guys just talk sports and give you the latest from across our hometowns when it comes to sports and athletics. So thank y'all so much for tuning in here on WDBJ 7+. I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow at 11 a.m.